what over the last several months people at Cancer Care Ontario and within the ministry have been talking about is what do we do to learn more about people with cancers that are so rare that they don't really fit into the traditional clinical guidelines that the drug companies perform. So we base our decisions on that evidence, but that excludes people who fall into that gray zone. So what we announced today is a new program where government will partner with drug companies to actually build the evidence so that we have evidence on which we can base decisions in the future.
In the release about the announcement, it states that the drugs will be provided in cases where, I'm quoting here, emerging evidence shows strong promise to benefit patients. What does that mean exactly?
So what that means is the way the drug trials are done now, you end up with some cases where the evidence is absolutely clear. This improves outcomes for people, and then there are other where it doesn't help. But then there is a gray area, and often it's because there may be a case where there just aren't enough people to make the clinical trial. So it's not to say we don't think it's going to help. It's just we don't have the evidence that tells us it does. So we really want to build that evidence.
And who's going to have the final decision on which drug treatments are going to be covered?
So it will continue to be the executive officer of the drug program. It's about building the base of evidence so we can continue to rely on evidence. That is vitally important in our healthcare system, that we rely on evidence. The problem was, though, and the problem still exists, where you don't always get evidence for all of the possible beneficiaries of something like this. So it was important to me that we actually start to close the gap on the evidence, and that's where government is doing something it hasn't done before, and that is really partner with drug companies, and we're just beginning the conversations with the drug companies, but the goal is to actually build more evidence so we can make decisions with confidence.
But when this whole access issue first came out, you were quoted in the legislature saying, we cannot have a healthcare system where stories that land on the front page of the paper determine our healthcare policy. How concerned are you that now this appears to be the case?
Well, this is something that's been under discussion for some time. There's no question that cases sometimes shed a light on something we need to do better on. So in this particular case, this isn't the only one that I've been aware of where it's an issue of that gray zone. There is a gap in evidence. Let's work together to build the evidence. I will never actually make decisions about individuals getting specific drugs. That really is not the role of the Minister of Health. My job is to make sure we've got the right programs in place, adequate funding, to sort of build the framework under which we can move forward to improve care for people. We are very blessed in Ontario. We have an excellent cancer care system. We've got some of the highest survival rates in the world when it comes to breast cancer, but we always want to keep on improving. That's why we've added 35 new cancer drugs to the formulary. 5 of those are specific to breast cancer. Now, they don't get covered, but we're still doing it. We're still always looking at ways to improve the system.
But obviously this case that was on the front page, this spurred you on, did it not?
I absolutely listened carefully. I did find it important that I reviewed the evidence, that I understood as much as a layman could, that I understood the foundation for the decision, that I understood the evidence, and when it comes to Herceptin, the evidence, there are no trials for smaller tumors. So I thought, how can we do better? Was the question, and as it turns out, this was a question that the people at Cancer Care Ontario and within our ministry, it was something they were already working on, which is why we were able to move as quickly as we did.
But there are some experts that say Herceptin hasn't been proven in smaller tumors, and it could actually do more harm than good because some of the side effects are quite harmful.
And that's exactly the information we have to find out about. So I'm going to leave it to the experts to determine which drugs are going to be covered, and the guidelines, how they're going to set up this evidence-building program. They do tell me that Herceptin is a drug that there seems to be a good opportunity to do more when it comes to Herceptin, to perhaps expand the criteria, but we need to build the evidence. So we're not just going out and saying we're now going to fund it for smaller tumors. We're going to say we're going to start to build the evidence so we'll know whether or not that is what we should do.
All right, well, will this woman get, Jill Anserud, will she get the drug?
I really can't speak to that particular case. What I can tell you is we're setting up a program whereby we can build the evidence that we need to make decisions.
All right. Thank you for joining us, Minister.
Thank you, Laura.
Appreciate your time. Deb Matthews is the Provincial Minister of Health, and today she announced that the government will increase patient access to some cancer-related drugs. It's 5:20. You're listening to Here and Now.
March 21st, 2011. Yeah, interesting language. A couple things I'll tag later.